Great.
Welcome to session 2 of Fill Your Fridge.
Yay.
I'm really excited. So, we've had some really good contact during this past week, and I just want to acknowledge everybody for playing the game. You know, just being in contact, texting, posting pictures. It really makes a difference, I think, in our personal experience, but also in the group experience. So, I want to just jump right in and I want to get some feedback from you guys about how your week has been. What worked, what didn't work.
This is Ken. I'll go first. As far as what works, the one thing that I really liked, and I was so funny, I was doing it by myself, is that when I went shopping with my shopping list, I was just amazed that I was actually making, this was going to be food I was going to eat for the week. I'd never done that before. I'd always just wandered through and whatever fell in the cart, fell in the cart. So that was just an enormous breakthrough for me. And actually, I noticed that throughout the week, I ate, I had my little snacks. I was never hungry at 9 o'clock at night. I didn't ever have to, decide I got to run out and get something because there's nothing in the house. I tried that fish stew twice. I made it once with Robert just as a try, and then I realized it didn't say in the instructions, but I guess you got to pull the fish apart to make it a stew as opposed to a fillet on rice. But it really went over well. I was going to make it on Monday night and have it again for dinner or for lunch, in the week. But my house guests that night ate it all. So I have to say the big breakthrough for me is like, holy shit, this works. If I develop a plan and stick to it, I can have healthy food. And so I'm really kind of excited to two things, get more recipes. And also, I really want to talk some more, get some more ideas from you as far as snacking, because sometimes I think with me going to the gym, I'm a little hungrier than the portion control of, the size of your fist. And I find myself being a little hungrier, between meals. So I wonder, I'm going to adjust the portions a little bit, but also other snacks that are quick and easy. But I'm very, very excited.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I love your enthusiasm, first of all. It just makes me smile. And how was your energy in the mornings after your workout?
Actually, it's been pretty good. I think partially it's with the protein shake before going to the gym. I think is a big help. I thought it would weigh me down, but I don't notice any difference, in my energy at the gym. But coming home, I don't have that huge sinking spell, and also knowing that I've got food there that I can immediately go and eat, I think is a big help. So, just having the energy from the food, and also you mentioned I probably have some blood sugar fluctuations that aren't good, has worked out very, very well.
Excellent. And welcome to whoever just joined us.
Silvana.
Hi,
Silvana, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. We're just catching up on what worked and what didn't work this past week.
Okay.
So Ken was just saying that for him, the shopping list really made a difference because going to the supermarket with a plan in mind and knowing that he was buying real food that he could actually cook and eat rather than just food that looked good when he was hungry was really exciting. And he also found that having food in the house made a big difference to how he
Yeah.
felt.
Yeah. Same for me. Yes.
Okay, so what worked and what didn't work for you, Silvana?
I need more recipes. That's my problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I made a soup that lasted I still have it. I've been eating that, but I need more recipes, I guess. Um, I did like the shopping and preparing the food and having food in the fridge. That worked. But I'm running out of recipes.
Okay. Excellent. So that's a big desire from a couple of you. And we just had someone else join the call.
It's me. I switched cameras.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So that worked for you was having food in the fridge, having prepared food, and what you're looking for is more recipes.
Hmm.
Natalie, what worked for you this week and what didn't work?
Well, I think I'm pretty much, because I've been doing that whole list and stuff before, so I kind of like nothing really was different this week for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been doing all that, with the shopping and the cooking ahead. I did notice last night I had two tortillas made out of rice, rice tortillas. And I did wake up really tired this morning. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I think I might have eaten one too many.
Yeah.
So I've got to watch that. I do notice if I eat, if I don't balance my carb with my protein properly at night, I do wake up very sleepy and tired.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I definitely notice a huge difference.
And I did fall off the bandwagon on Wednesday and had a burger
Woohoo!
and fries. So I had a I don't know, a moment of weakness, but I normally don't do that at all. That was just very interesting for me to do that. But and so that might be why I felt bad the next day also. I mean the 2 days after. I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, and that's definitely something to monitor. I know I am so sensitive to carbs, especially at night.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've found with myself.
Okay, good. So I want to check in with you guys on the methods of communication. You may have noticed that I'm utilizing a few different methods of communication. So one would be the email. And are you all receiving my emails?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and just one piece of follow-up, if it's possible, the attachments that you have, sometimes it just has some randomized computer lingo at the top. I don't know if it's how you send it, but if it could actually be titled what it is, it would help, because I just do it when I download it, but if it could be pre-done so I know what it is before I open it, that would be a big help too, the attachments on the email.
Okay, I'm not sure what happens there because when I attach them, when I save them and attach them, they are titled.
Okay, I'll have to look and see. Maybe it's my email provider.
So I'm not sure what happens in the transfer. I also am uploading all of the documents to our Facebook group.
Oh, good.
So if there's any trouble with the email with the documents or you're not sure, you can always go to the Facebook group and get them there.
Perfect.
What about the texting? How does everyone feel about the texting?
I like it. I don't mind it.
So, I heard a don't mind it, like it. Sil, what were you gonna say?
I guess it works faster for me because sometimes I'm not at my computer to download the pictures or get on Facebook, so I just do it through my phone. It works. So
Okay.
I haven't posted the recipe of the soup that I made, so I still have that pending, but I know I'll do it.
Okay. And Ken, how's the texting for you?
At first I was a little unsure. I'm not usually a big fan of group text because then every little bit of banter back and forth. My thought is if it's a group, text, I'm good with it. But if it gets up into, like a one-on-one kind of conversation, if it could go up to a one-on-one text, that would be a big help because otherwise, the phone blows up for 5-10 minutes. But I like the group text for group messages.
Okay. So that's just something for us all to keep in mind. I feel the same way about the group text. I like it because it's fast. It's a way for me to check in with you guys with, regardless of where I am or where you are. It can sometimes, I just think we all need to be aware of not blowing the phone up, basically. The pictures are awesome. I really think that's a great way of giving us some ideas and some inspiration. I noticed that you guys have used the Facebook group a little bit. I encourage you to check that, and if you're looking for more recipes in the week, let me know, because I do post recipes in there, and that's where I'm going to do that kind of posting even more now. So just that's a great resource for us. Excellent.
I agree. And also, if someone posts a picture of something on Facebook, like it's something they made, if they would include the recipe with it, that'd be great, because I'm really in a mood of trying out new things, and some of that stuff look really good.
Yes.
And something I want to address as far as recipes and cooking. What I do, and this has something to do with the fact that, of my cooking background, but I am less of a recipe person and more of a ingredients-based person. So what I focus on is I have certain staples in my kitchen. And I'll come up with a list of those. I was been working on that. And I'm going to give you some examples. So I always have lemons and limes, and I always have ginger, garlic, onions. I always have my proteins, obviously. I have various grains. I have coconut milk. I have chicken stock, vegetable stock. These are all staples. I have paprika, cinnamon, cumin, mustard. And so what I would really encourage you guys to start doing, because recipes are great and they give us new ideas, but I also encourage you to start looking in your cabinet and being willing to just play with the ingredients that you have. And be trust your creativity in the kitchen, because that's when it starts to become kind of fun. So that's something I definitely encourage you to start playing with is, oh wow, I have a piece of fish. And the recipe I'm giving you guys today for fish kits is one of those. It really lends itself to playing, because I use different ingredients in it all the time. I use the basic method, and then I look at my fridge and I see what I have, and I think, okay, great, I'll throw that in, and I explain that in the recipe. So again, start just like playing with your food a little bit. Did you find that you were cooking less? Did you cook in batches and cook less frequently during the week?
I had a great week. I'm sorry, who's talking?
Go ahead, Sil.
I cooked on Sunday or Monday, and I made batches for the rest of the week, and I still have food to go. And then I cooked again yesterday, so I still have batches for the rest of the the week. I guess the weekend. So that gave me some free time to do other things. So I like that.
Yeah.
But my problem is, I guess, knowing what to cook, because I know I cook the same things and I get bored. Mm-hmm. So even though I have ingredients, I need inspiration. I need different dishes.
Okay. And Ken, did you find yourself?
I definitely cook. I'm sorry. I definitely cook in batches.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I feel like something different, then I'll just cook that specific thing I feel like eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I do also.
And as far as the recipes go for me, when I see a recipe, I like to try it exactly what they call for, and then once I know what it's supposed to taste like, then I go off on my own and I play with it then.
I do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. And Ken, did you find yourself doing batches of things, or were you cooking most days of the week?
When it came to breakfast, of course, I was like making that, the frittata or whatever I wanted to call it. But I think I cooked almost every day for the simple fact that I found that I was probably eating more than one portion. So I was, kind of running out of food. And also, when I had friends over on Monday, they ate the rest of my week's food. I kind of gave everybody one portion, and they just went back for seconds. So I think what I need to do is find out what is a portion for me, and then cook to that. But I agree with the entire group that, I made the fish stew one night. I made the chicken stir fry, and I put that in there. But I could see myself, I could do it for a week. It's almost like camping, I told myself. But, I really need to get a lot more handy with being able to take a couple of different ingredients and make a couple different meals out of it easily, so that way I don't get bored and stale with it too quick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's definitely an area that we'll focus on a little bit more as we move forward. I'll definitely provide more inspiration and recipes, but I'm also going to start including more tips on how to just use the ingredients, let's say, that was purchased last week. Like I know I have tomato paste in my fridge from that last recipe. So, looking at how I can utilize that moving forward and utilize what we already have in creating the next week's recipes. Excellent. All right. Well, speaking of
Love it.
this is a great opportunity to introduce Lori. Lori Amaker is a health professional. She's studying. Actually, I'll let you introduce yourself. How's that, Lori?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Amaker. I am a wellness coach, registered yoga teacher, well, I'm still a pilot, but I'm not working as a pilot at the moment, but I did work as a teacher in the flying field, so loving getting into wellness as a teacher and bringing food into that, because that is really a passion of mine, and I'm currently studying, my program is called Hygiophysician, so once I finish it'll be a PhD in using medicine as food, or food as medicine rather than the other way around. So completely an naturopathic medical perspective instead of an allopathic. So based on that idea of Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Loved Rachel's post about cucumbers and the question of organic versus local versus things that have been imported or at least traveling from far distances. And the cucumbers now, I'm so used to eating them in the summer growing up in up north, where the summer is when produce comes in, and here in the summer it's too hot to really grow much, so we don't have cucumbers at the moment. And cucumber is such an awesome thing for summer. Nature gives us these things that help to cool us down. What's native to Florida is mango, which is a cooling fruit rather than cucumber. So we've already obviously had our mango season, but when our heat comes in, nature gives us what we need to cool our bodies down. So we'll be getting all those cucumbers in hopefully from the central states instead of Mexico, I believe it was, that your cucumbers came from. So anyways, that's a little bit of the background from my perspective from a food perspective. But my subject with you guys today is to be able to fill your fridge when you do your shopping on your shopping day so that breakfast is easy. Because I think that if you set yourself up to begin the day healthfully, you will make the right choices throughout the day. Whereas if you start the day in a big rush and you're just grabbing something, say at Starbucks with your coffee on the way out the door, the whole day is going to be like that. It makes it easier for those choices to happen. So that's what happens to me in my life. I know that if I'm late for a flight or something like that and I cut a corner, then the whole rest of the day I wind up staying in that mindset. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is taking, your weekend shopping day. Let's say, for example, it happens to be the weekend. That is the case for most people, and also the farmers markets tend to be on the weekend. So if we have our market day and we go with a short list, my week-long recipe, list that I'm going to give you guys today is a guideline, of course. Like we were talking a little bit earlier about varying things. You start with a recipe and then you make it your own. I'm going to give you a short grocery list, and you will have half an hour worth of prep to do the day that you shop. And if we say that that's Saturday, for example, on Sunday, there's another 15 minutes worth of prep to do, and then every evening can give you something to do for 5 minutes so that in the morning, if you don't have any time at all, you can grab it, walk out the door, and you're still having a healthful breakfast that you took the time to put your love into. You took the time to put your energy into, and it isn't mass-produced or mass-prepared, because that energy is carried into the food and then into our bodies. So let's start with our shopping day. Questions so far? Anything?
One question, Lori.
Yes.
This is pretty basic, but and Rachel, is there some way of getting a list of what's in season and when? And I know that whatever's cheapest is probably in season, but I'm completely in the dark with this whole thing. But if I could get or be pointed to some place that has what produce is in season and when.
I'll post a list to the group.
That's good.
Beautiful.
I agree. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
This week I did the program that I'm going to outline for you guys just to test it out on myself. And when I was at my shopping day, I missed the farmer's market because I had things to do in the morning and I needed to sub for someone at work. So I went to Whole Foods and I looked for the signs. You know, they label local and organic, and it makes it a lot easier to shop from, you know, the perspective of, you know, having a big sign that says this is from Georgia, this is from Florida, versus, you know, not knowing where. But they actually have, most of their things are labeled so that you can, if you're going to sit there and read the labels, you'll be able to find it. But at your farmer's market, most of the things will be local, or you can ask the person at the farmer's desk, say, hey, what's you know, from the local area, and they'll say, well, this is from Jupiter, this is from Homestead, those are from Georgia, that stuff's from the Carolinas, and then we had these come in from California this morning. So if it's seasonal, it'll be there at your farmer's market. So I have a few things that are on the list that were Florida and Georgia produce, and then I have a few things that I really, you know, wanted, and so I went to the freezer section because then they're picked when they're seasonal. They go in the freezer at peak time, and then we can use them a little bit along the way whenever we feel like it. So on our shopping day, let me pull up my list here. Love screensavers, but sometimes they, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to post this to the group. I'll send it to Rachel so she can email it to you if that's appropriate, or I'll post it on the Facebook page as well so you can download it from there a little bit later. But just to talk you through it, since I know most of us are just audio at the moment, a really quick overview for breakfast is that just a few things from the produce aisle. A banana, one at least for my list. If you grab a whole hand of bananas, though, that's an easy grab-and-go snack, and it'll probably translate to a healthful snack if you have one with you throughout the day. One date, a pint of cherry tomatoes, a small portion of grapes, we'll put a ½ pound, and a peach, and a little bit of parsley. Then the bulk bin. So we're going to go and get a lot of grains. Just a little bit of fruit, and then some grains and protein are very important in the morning to have lots of energy so that we burn it slowly throughout the day. So we have lots of nuts on there, some almonds. We have some pecans and pistachios and walnuts, and also some seeds, chia seeds, which are an excellent source of protein. Some dried coconut and some dried cranberries, and these are things that we will be able to put together that will hang out in our pantry or fridge for a long period of time and will last us through the week. From the refrigerated section, half a dozen eggs, a dozen if you're utilizing this recipe for 2 people, 2 coconut, or preferably coconut or almond yogurt, but whatever you're using is fine, but 2 yogurt cups per person. A quick trip through the freezer section for a loaf of Ezekiel bread, some frozen cherries. There's my little pick at peak performance and save it for later. And then some pantry items, which are just some spices: cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, salt, cacao, because who doesn't like a treat in the morning, and some coconut oil and honey. On coconut oil and honey, if you're going to be purchasing new for your pantry, try to choose raw and virgin for the coconut oil and the honey. And your farmers markets are an excellent place to find local honey, and you can even find Broward, that local of honey, because it's going to have with it a lot of pollen. And the more local pollen that you consume, the more your body accepts it as food, as natural, and the less your allergies will act up. So it's a great medicinal source or resource if you're using raw honey. Once you cook honey, it is really not good for you anymore. It's no better than high fructose corn syrup. So if you're going to choose a sweetener and you choose honey, do choose raw for sure, and try to choose local if you can. Okay, so not a lot of produce on there. Bananas are an item that are just, if you are really lucky, you might find some local bananas. My next door neighbor grows them, so I know it's possible, but we don't see them around that often, though I have seen a couple farmers markets carry them pretty consistently. So that's something they might be able to find local. Cherry tomatoes, you can almost always find local here. And peaches came from Georgia, so those were on my list this week because I found them. Happened to be the item. All right, so our prep day, simple stuff. If you are a person that is really wanting to take it to make it completely yourself and buy as little as possible that's prepackaged, buy yourself an extra pound of almonds. And if you have a food processor, a blender, and a nut milk bag, you can make your own almond butter and almond milk in almost no time. So the resources that will be posted are going to have recipes for you to do that, and it will also note on the grocery list, or just buy a quart of almond milk and a jar of almond butter. So it's your choice if you want to try it out, if you have a little extra time, and otherwise, here's the simple way that will be included in there as well. On our if we say that Saturday is our shopping day, we have a little bit of prep work to do with the produce when you get it home, not very much. We're going to take the buckwheat that we purchased and we're going to soak it. You just stick it in some water and you leave it alone for 8 hours. So that'll happen Saturday night and we'll worry about it again Sunday morning, no problems. If you're going to make your own almond milk, again, you take a cup of almonds and you stick it in some water and you're done for the night. We are also going to prepare some jam. So we're going to take our grapes and we're going to throw them in the food processor with the chia seeds, and that is going to turn into jam when it sits in the refrigerator by itself. Again, 5 minutes, almost no time, but you made it yourself.
Yeah. Lori, I'm going to stop you for a minute. What are we making?
What are we making? Okay. So yeah, Saturday night with our sprouted buckwheat, we are first going to make a sprouted buckwheat breakfast. So buckwheat is an awesome grain that's gluten-free and is really got tons and tons of vitamins in it, tons of minerals. And we'll just add a little bit of fruit to it, add a little bit of nuts to it, and it'll make it a complete meal. That's one day. Another day is overnight oats. So we're going to take, some oats and some milk in the evening, and we're going to soak it so that in the next morning you've got your oats are ready to go and you didn't have to do any cooking. It's just like a porridge type of breakfast in a jar, ready to grab and go. You can warm it if you like, of course, but in the summer you might like it cold, so you can. That's on our list twice during the course of the week. So if you like it cold one day, great. If you don't so much, then next time try it warm, and you can tweak it next week and make it warm both days or not. So overnight oats is one option for a couple of days, and we'll vary the add-ins. Sprouted buckwheat is an option for 2 other days, and we'll vary the add-ins. We're going to do a chia porridge, which is going to combine a whole bunch of ingredients together. That's the day our chocolate and cherries come in. It's kind of a treat day in the middle of the week. And Sunday brunch is going to include a couple of little frittatas and some yogurt because we haven't had a whole lot of time to do prep. So that'll be the day we spend the most time. So.
Great, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to.
No problem. I was getting there. I was just kind of trying to paint the picture time-wise, but maybe it's easier if we're looking at a calendar to do that. But. All right, so Saturday, half an hour worth of prep. Sunday, we're going to have what we started with the day before. Some toast with jam that you made yourself the night before, and some almond butter that you maybe made yourself the night before. We're going to have one of those yogurt cups and a little mini frittata. Super cool thing you can do with eggs. Get out your muffin tin and take your half a dozen eggs and stick 4 of them in the cup. Done. The other 2 cups, break an egg in each one, chop up some tomatoes and parsley, and throw the entire muffin cup in your oven for half an hour while you do the rest of your prep work. The eggs bake. It's like making a hard-boiled egg, but they're a little bit softer and creamier inside. And then the little frittatas come out like ready to go, and in the morning all you need to do is warm them up. So you could either do this Sunday morning so that it's nice and fresh from the oven, or you could choose to do it Saturday night when you get home so that your breakfast is just, a quick warm, and then you're out the door if you don't have the whole half hour for it to bake. But really healthful with the protein and the fruit, the tomato, along with lots of parsley, which is a green that's going to help to alkalize the body and set you up for a great start for your day from a acid-alkaline balance. A little bit of toast for that warm crunch, and again, it's a vehicle to bring in that jam and almond butter that you were able to make yourself in almost no time. Sound good for Sunday brunch?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's so easy. I mean, cracking an egg and sticking it in the oven, really, really super simple. And you will have the recipe for that on the wall before the day is out. Monday morning is going to be overnight oats. So Sunday night, we're just going to dump some oats and some almond milk and a couple of other spices and salt into a jar and shake it up and throw it in the fridge. 5 minutes, you are done. In the morning, it's all kind of gelled together, and the oats soak up all the almond milk, and you can throw a little bit of fruit in the morning, and you're on your way out the door, or scoop it into a bowl and put it into your oven to warm it up if you'd like to do that. And now you've got this yummy, warming, healthful, slow-burning carbs that have also been combined with the nuts, so healthy fat, and protein as well. It's going to burn very slowly through the day. And if you want to, you can add a dollop of the almond butter for it's a little bit of extra fat and protein to work with throughout the day. Tuesday morning is going to be our sprouted buckwheat. So by now, our buckwheat's been sitting on the counter, and in the morning you give it a rinse, and in the evening you give it a rinse, and by now it has these cute little tails on it. So we're going to scoop some out into a bowl and add some fruit and nuts, and then put the rest of it in the refrigerator so that it stops sprouting. And it's like got a very soft mouth feel. It's not crunchy anymore. It's just kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had grape nut cereal, but that sort of consistency. And we scoop in some almond milk, or some coconut milk is great. You could even combine it with a little bit more of the yogurt so that it has a thicker feel, and depending on what you're looking for. So I'm going to post it with almond milk, but if you want to use that extra cup of yogurt that I will put on the grocery list, you can scoop some of that in there, and it'll give you a little couple of options that you can do with it. On Wednesday is our cherry chia parfait. This is our treat day. It's the middle of the week. We want to keep ourselves happy. So
Nice.
Tuesday night, again, easy. Take some of the frozen cherries, throw them on the bottom of your jar, scoop in some pistachios, throw them in the jar, chia seeds. Then we're going to throw the almond milk on top with a couple of other ingredients for spicing and a little cacao powder, so that now you've got like basically Black Forest cake in a jar. I mean, it's not cake. Let's not get too crazy, but it is, chocolate and cherries for breakfast. So, and cacao has so many awesome antioxidants, combined with the cherries that have so many awesome antioxidants. So it's like really full of superfood. Add the pistachios for healthy protein and fat, and the chia seeds for healthy protein, and now you've got such a great balanced start for your day, and your hump day starts with happiness. So, Thursday, we're going to go back to our overnight oats, and we're going to vary it a little bit. Different fruit, so that you're still having this, it's the same dish, but it's not the exact same thing you already had once this week. So one day we're going to bring in that peach from the farmer's market that was relatively local, Georgia being not that far away, and another day we'll bring in one of the bananas and add different nuts. So we'll do peach and pecan one day, and then the next day we'll do walnuts and bananas. A little bit of cinnamon here, a little cardamom there, and it's super, super tasty. And Friday we go back to our sprouted buckwheat, and we'll finish that up, and also finish up some of the fruit from our grocery trip on Friday. Saturday we're out, but it's time to go shopping again. So you are probably still going to have a yogurt cup and a couple of bananas. Take them with you as you head to the farmer's market and shop again. And we'll start all over for next week.
Nice.
So that is the basic plan, and it's a very short grocery list and things that will mostly keep in your pantry if something comes up and you end up not using them. A couple of pieces of fruit notwithstanding. So if they don't get used by Saturday, that'll be what you grab on your way out to the farmer's market to replenish the refrigerator for next week.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Awesome.
You're very welcome. I hope it goes well for everyone, and I look forward to checking in with you throughout the week to see how things are tasting for you.
I got a question for you. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I bought a lot of ingredients. I got really excited about this program, and I haven't used the kale. I don't know how to cook it. I don't know what to do with it, and it's still in my fridge. So how could I don't know how to make it tasty. I have no idea. I don't have a steamer, so I don't know what to do with it.
This is kale? Is that what you said?
Kale, yeah.
Do you want to
May
answer?
I?
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to
I
throw
love
it away.
kale. I mean, I almost always have it in my garden because it's one of those things that grows really well in Florida, and we can get it seasonal, from our gardens all the time. Personally, my favorite thing to do with kale is to make kale chips out of it. So you can just rub a little bit of olive oil on the leaves after you've made sure that they're free of any dirt, because anything, the greens can tend to dirt. So submerge them in your sink, make sure the dirt's out unless they're already clean for you. Rub a little bit of olive oil on the leaves, or maybe even a little coconut oil and some salt, and just start with that. Put your oven on the lowest temperature. With a lot of ovens, that's 200 degrees, and stick them in there for about a half hour. You'll want to check on them because ovens vary, but you're basically just looking for the leaves to dry out, and they're going to be like chips. Just olive oil and salt is a great way to start. And then later on, if you want to get more creative, there are tons of recipes on the web for kale chips. I love to bring cashews into the mix and make a paste out of cashews and lemon juice and some spices like maybe some red pepper. And then you just rub that all over the leaves, stick them in your oven. If you have a dehydrator, even better. You do this before you go to bed, stick them in, and in the morning you've got kale chips to take with you to work.
Wow.
It takes all night, but the flavor, I love the flavor better when it's a lower heat, but you can still totally do it with your oven. And then, just stick them in while you're making, something else for dinner, provided you're not using your oven, of course, or while you're having, an hour of television, and then they're done, and you can snack on them while you finish your TV show or movie or whatever it is. So kale chips is my suggestion.
That sounds great. Thank you. It's good.
Silvana, I'll post a recipe for kale chips
Okay.
that has a couple of ideas for toppings. That cashew one sounds really good. I haven't tried that.
Nice.
And I'll also
I'll post that to the wall too.
please, yeah. And I'll post a recipe for kale salad, which is a really great way of using it also.
Nice.
And also kale pesto. And
That's interesting. Cool.
all of these, except for the pesto and the salad, they're not cooked, so it makes it easy. Although the pesto requires either a high-powered blender or preferably a food processor. But we're going to talk a little bit about appliances in this session. That was awesome.
Is it possible to ask one other breakfast question?
Please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Laura, great things. I just wanted, actually two questions. One, is that what you eat every week? Is that something that keeps you interested week after week for breakfast? It sounds great. I just didn't know if after, 2 months you're kind of like, oh God, I'd love a piece of bacon. Well, that's my guy's perspective.
It's interesting that you say that, bacon. I'm a vegan, so bacon doesn't really happen too much in my house.
Okay.
But
And then the second question, you can put them both together, is that I go to the gym in the morning and I'm trying to up my protein as well. Is there something that you would suggest as far as if I wanted to add extra protein on certain mornings?
yes, well, when I use the half dozen eggs, only 2 of them are actually part of the program, and the ones that are hard boiled are your grab it and take it whenever you feel like it. So that hand of bananas, I'm only going to use 1 of them in the recipes throughout the week. You have 4 more to grab and eat whenever you want. The hard boiled eggs, or in this case baked eggs, are yours to use alongside of your oats or buckwheat or whatever in the morning, or for a snack at lunchtime. They'll stay in your refrigerator for an entire week, probably longer, but they never last more than a couple days in my house. But yes, this is how I eat all the time. If I forget in the night before, or if I think I'm going to have time in the morning to actually make something and then I don't, well, then it's a bowl of cereal and the nut milk that I always have on hand. But we do tempeh bacon at home. This is a fermented soy product that's spiced to taste like bacon, which I love. And my son, who is 14 months old, it's like his favorite thing in the entire world. So, yes, we definitely do bring in some other things on occasion. Tempeh bacon is a favorite. So.
Perfect. I appreciate the info. And just for my sake, about how many grams of protein is in a hard-boiled egg?
That is a good question. Give me just 1 second, and I will find the exact
I should have just asked Google. I'm sorry.
No problem. I have Google at my fingertips.
Guys, it's 6. It's 6 grams of protein in an egg.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to doing that breakfast next week. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other breakfast questions?
Thank you for the ideas, Lori.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori.
You bet.
I'm excited. I love Wednesday breakfast, the chocolate and the cherries.
Yeah.
You and me.
I had to throw at least one of those in there, you know?
Yeah, you totally had me at chocolate and cherries. All right, perfect. So, what we're going to look at next in this session is carbohydrates. So, one of the things that I wanted to, we talk about carbs and we talk about protein and we talk about fat, and I wanted to give us a better understanding of them because some people say you shouldn't eat carbs, I'm carb free, and but you should eat carbs, and what's a complex carb, what's a simple carb. So I really wanted to just take a look at some of that so that we really understand what we're talking about and we can start to understand what works for us. And Ken, you touched on that a little earlier. It's so important to figure out what works for you because your ratio of carbs to protein to fat will be different to my ratio. So we get guidelines and then we work from there. And so I'm going to pull up a document onto the screen. So whoever's on their computer or on their digital device can see it. And if you're driving, you'll get it later. All right. So carbohydrates. What are they? And who wants to say what are carbohydrates?
Fuel?
Yep. That's, pretty much. What are they?
Sugars?
Yeah. So can you give us some examples of carbohydrates?
Sugar?
Good, sugar, yep. What else?
Starches.
Yep, starches. So what's an example of a starch?
Corn?
Pasta.
Yes and yes. Squashes are starches. Potatoes are starches. Grains are starches. What else is a carbohydrate, or foods that are mainly carbohydrates?
Broccoli? Beans?
Beans, yes. Broccoli, actually, yes. You're right. That's a really good source of fiber, which is also a source of carbohydrates. That's a good example. Milk and milk products. Lactose is a form of a natural sugar that gets turned into glucose. Also, foods that contain added sugar. So cookies, cakes, sodas, sweetened beverages. Those are all sources of carbohydrates.
Not the good ones, right?
Right. So we talk about we talk about good carbohydrates and bad carbohydrates. And those are, those are interesting terminologies. I'm not a huge fan of good and bad, but they're not, what do you mean by good ones, Sil?
Well, the ones that will actually give you fuel and you just digest quickly and they actually don't turn into fat. That's what I'm thinking. As opposed to having a cookie and a lot of sugar, and that's not really great for my body. That's what I mean by good and bad.
Okay, so you're on the right track, and some of what you said isn't 100% accurate.
Okay.
A complex carbohydrate would be considered better than a simple?
Yes. Why?
Because it's a slow burn as opposed to a big blood spike, and a lot of it, like sugar goes in, you get that sugar buzz, you get that sugar high and then a crash, as opposed to, let's say, a sweet potato or something like that that might burn for a longer period of time?
Yeah, so we talk about bad carbohydrates, and they're often the refined carbohydrates. So you can start out with a grain, let's say rice, brown rice. Whole grain brown rice. Now, whole grain meaning that it's got the fiber and the minerals weren't taken off. You've got the whole piece of grain that came from the plant. Once you refine it, now you take off the fiber, you remove some of the minerals and the nutrients, you're now left with just the starch that's in the middle. And that is a simple carbohydrate, and it spikes your blood sugar, and then, of course, you're going to have that drop. So that's not desirable. Good carbohydrates contain fiber, and they're more complex, so they have more of the ingredients that our bodies need to function. Examples of good carbs might be vegetables, fruit, whole grains, beans. Why do we need fiber?
So then we don't get bloated.
So we don't get bloated. Yep. Ken, what did you say?
Well, I think it definitely aids in digestion. I mean,
Yes.
it helps grease the skids, I guess you could say.
Pretty much. Fiber helps move stuff out. It is one of our junk removing items in our food sources.
Doesn't it help to absorb toxins or stuff like that too?
It does. In our digestive tract, fiber acts as and I believe that would be the soluble fiber, which helps to absorb any of the toxins that we don't want, and it helps move them out of our digestive tract. So one of the things with refined carbohydrates, let's say the white rices, the white pastas, the fiber has been removed. So not only is it a fast-burning sugar, so we're going to use the fuel faster, it's going to spike our blood sugar levels, but it's also not going to help us remove any of the toxins that are in our digestive system. Now, Ken touched on carbohydrates being fuel, essentially, and it's like some parts of our body, like our brain, only use carbohydrates as fuel. So we need them. We can get them from fruits and vegetables. We don't necessarily have to have high amounts of grains or high amounts of starches, but we need carbohydrates. The recommended daily allowance is about 45 to 65%, depending on what your personal body and your goals are. And we're going to look a little bit more next week at shifting our macronutrient percentages based on what our physical goals are. But just as a guideline, you're looking at 45 to 65%. So when you look at your plate, you want about half of it to contain complex carbohydrates. And that's just a simple way of eyeballing it so that we don't worry so much about the percentages. A lot of the suggestions that Lori gave us were complex carbohydrates that also contain the amino acids necessary to make protein. So those are fantastic sources of both carbs, fiber, and protein. All right. Now, grains. Give me some examples of grains.
Quinoa.
Yep.
Farro.
Farro, yep.
Oh, come on, you guys. Wheat, rice.
I don't do wheat.
Stick to
I
the
can't do
simple
wheat.
ones.
Gluten-free.
Yeah, we don't eat them anymore. That's why we don't.
Right, but it's still an example.
Brown rice. Millet.
Yep. Yeah, those are all grains.
Oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
Bread.
Well, bread's made from grains.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Amaranth, teff.
Tapioca. Mm-hmm.
So, those are all great sources of complex carbohydrates. And what we've got here is I've actually given you a table that breaks down different grains. It lets you know whether it's gluten-free. And it also gives you general cooking times and general ratios from grain to water. Now, I'm a huge fan of using my rice cooker for cooking grains. And again, I'm going to go into that in just a minute when we look at some of the appliances that I recommend in the kitchen for varying up our cooking methods. But this is just a great guideline as far as some great common grains and some not so common grains, and these will help you change things up a little bit. And this is what I mean about being willing to explore and try things out. So what we're looking at in the class is an overall view of different areas of food. So in this case, it's carbohydrates. And here's some different examples of different grains. Now, I'm happy to provide you guys with recipes, but what the goal of this class is to empower you with your food and to start changing the story of I don't know what to cook to I've got this, I've got some quinoa in my cupboard. What am I going to do with it tonight? And trusting yourselves in being able to produce food that you're going to enjoy and that's going to nourish you. And it's going to happen over time. We're layering right now. So here's just a guideline on some different grains and some of their cooking suggestions. Any questions about grains?
Hi.
Okay. Any questions about carbohydrates?
So complex are the ones in their natural form and simple, or no, vice versa? Like brown rice, is that complex or simple? Simple, right?
Complex.
I'm not sure. Complex.
It's complex because it has the starch with the fiber and with the nutrients. Simple has been refined.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
So you said half of the plate should be complex carbs. So that's on that half, it's going to be vegetables and maybe some grain, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
For example, sometimes in the morning I like my egg frittatas, and I put zucchini, I put bell pepper, I put onion, I put mushroom, and all of that contains carbohydrates. So what I'll do, instead of maybe having a grain or a piece of toast with that, I'll have a piece of fruit. Because I want to have fruit every day, but I also don't want to overload on the carbohydrates. So I'll have a piece of fruit, and that satisfies my need for the carbs in that meal. And our needs change. So just as with everything else that we're talking about, it's not going to be the same all the time and in every situation in your life. If you're more active, you're using more carbohydrates, you're going to need to add more to your diet. If you're less active, you might want to cut back on the carbohydrates. It's really about playing with your body and changing it up so that you find what works for you. All right. I want to move on to shopping tips. And I think this is really important. Lori mentioned a couple of places that she does some shopping. So she mentioned Whole Foods. She mentioned the farmers markets. Those are both places that I frequent also. There are different options for buying locally produced or organically produced or sustainably produced food. For produce, my preference is a community-supported agriculture program. Does anybody know what that is?
A co-op?
It's in that world, but it's a little bit different. Does anybody know what the difference between a CSA, community-supported agriculture, and a co-op is?
No.
I think a co-op, isn't a co-op, it's actually food besides fruit and vegetables, whereas the CSA, it's local farmers that are growing things locally.
A co-op can be just produce, or it can include other things.
Okay.
A co-op is kind of like a buying club. It's when they band together so that they can buy in bulk, and it makes it less expensive and easier for everybody. Yeah. CSA puts more of a focus on supporting local agriculture. So the concept is community supported agriculture. It's where the public pre-purchase shares in the harvest of a farm or a group of farms, and they get a portion or a share of the harvest each week or every 2 weeks. So you get what's local and seasonal, which I think is really important. And you don't have to think about it because it's just what the farm's producing at that time. And you're also supporting a small local farmer. So what can happen with local farms, it's not a high profit industry. And one week of a bad crop or 2 weeks of a bad crop, and it could wipe out the farm. They could actually, experience some serious financial repercussions. With the CSA, the community is guaranteeing that that farm will stay in production for the season because they're prepaying. And that's one way that we can really support the growth of local agriculture. And you often will get food that you're unfamiliar with, which I think is great because you have to learn new ways of preparing it. And they usually will give you recipes on how to prepare unfamiliar items. So I think that's a really great way of exposing yourself to new food items, supporting local agriculture, and also it's really economical. So you end up saving a lot of money. There are farmers markets, and farmers markets are popping up everywhere. It's really important to ask the produce vendor where the food comes from. One thing I've noticed with local farmers markets is that the produce may or may not be local. They may ship it in, they may buy from a bulk distributor. So as long as you ask, most of them will be honest with you. And there's a link here for localharvest.org. They'll give you a list of markets near you. Also CSAs. You can go straight to the farm. That's another way. And we're getting more and more farms here in South Florida, so that's another way you can get involved. You can also grow your own. And Lori talked about how she always has cucumbers in her when they're in season, and she always grows kale. Growing your own is the best way to keep your costs down and to also make sure you're getting the freshest, safest food. And I believe that growing our own food will actually, it actually solves a lot of our social, economic, and health concerns. But that's my soapbox for another time. We won't go into that. So those are my favorite ways of buying produce. And I put a lot of time, I'll actually go, there are a couple of different farmers markets I like to go to during the week because the CSA that I used to belong to is actually shut down. I'm looking for another one that's viable for me. But I like to go to the farmers markets. I will also go to Whole Foods for convenience and for items that I can't find at the farmers market. I like to focus on local and seasonal produce, but I also am not going to drive myself crazy. So the cucumber, I don't know if any of you saw my post about the cucumbers, but it was a perfect example. They're not, right now, South Florida, we're not really growing them. I wanted them. So I made the best choice I could within those parameters. And that's what we really want to focus on, is the best choice we can within the parameters that are important to us. So other resources for high quality food. I really like Vitacost. I get a lot of my food items, my bulk goods, my dry goods, my oils. They have supplements, they have beauty care, home cleaning supplies. It's phenomenal discounts off of really well-known products, 10 to 50% off of retail costs. And if your order's over $50, they ship to your door within 2 days.
Nice.
So that to me is a fantastic resource. I shop with them every week. Saves me time, saves me money. I also shop at Costco, especially for my grains. They have a lot of organics now. They're really expanding their organic lines. They have organic chicken. They have wild caught fish, which is pre-portioned in individual packets. So I do the frozen cherries, frozen berries. They also have a lot of organics in those items. So again, items that I can freeze or will keep for a while. My coconut oil, it's virgin, cold pressed, organic. I buy it at Costco. That's a phenomenal resource for really high quality, very reasonably priced items. And if you guys don't have a Costco membership and you're interested in getting items from there, let me know, because again, I'm there probably every couple of weeks, picking up something. There also, I mentioned another couple of resources, online resources, that have information. They have other items like aromatherapy, food, spices, just more resources for you to check out online. You know, I know all of us, time is a concern. So what my goal is really to provide you with resources that will be time saving and economical.
Thank you.
So do you have any questions about shopping? Okay. Excellent. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, and it's appliances or implements.
Your toys.
Yes, my toys.
Your gadgets.
So, do you guys use gadgets in your kitchen?
Sometimes I do when I need it.
I have my Vitamix. It's one of my favorites.
Okay,
Vitamix is really good.
You love your Vitamix.
And my crock pot.
And your crock pot. Awesome. What about you, Sil? What are some of your favorite toys?
Well, I have my blender, I have a food processor, and that's about it, yeah.
Okay. Ken, do you have any toys in the kitchen?
Yeah, my blender has got like 100,000 miles on it. And I went and bought a rice cooker last week. I was surprised how cheap they are. I guess there's really not much to it, but I've used that a lot this past week, and I just received my toaster oven. So those are the big things. Oh, and my Keurig and my coffee grinder. Those are the things I got in my kitchen.
Nice.
I forgot to mention I have a bamboo steamer, which I really love a lot, and the hand blender when I'm doing soups. I love that. Those are my favorite.
Nice.
I had someone who mentioned to me about who's that guy, the fighter that has his own grill. They said that's one of the best things they ever owned. Did you ever use something along those lines?
George.
Oh, George Foreman. That's it.
I did, yeah.
I have used it, and it can be really useful. They're clean.
Okay.
You don't have to use oil. It's like a nonstick finish. And you can set it up in your kitchen, so if you want to quote-unquote grill something, you can use that. So that can also be really useful. I can't stress enough the value of having good kitchen implements. It was a whole revelation for me when cooking professionally. At the time saving, at the ease of it, having quality tools for any job makes it easier. So having quality of kitchen appliances and implements really makes the job so much easier and so much more enjoyable. You know, and I came up with a list here. It has some of what you guys mentioned, and also you guys mentioned a couple of items that I don't have on my list, which are great because I'll start looking at including those in my own world of cooking implements. But for me, you know, I started with good knives.
Yes.
And they don't have to be top of the line knives, but I'm sure most of us have experienced the frustration of trying to cut food with a dull knife.
Yes.
And it just sucks. I don't know how else to say it. It just sucks.
Yes.
So I have a couple of chef's knives, you know, a smaller one and then a larger one. A fillet knife for when I'm dealing with whole fish. I have a serrated knife. No, you know, most of us call it a bread knife. And I have a couple of good small paring knives. You know, and that's a pretty basic set. If you buy a set of knives, those will all come in your set. What I did was I spent more money on my chef's knives and I bought less expensive of the other knives that I use less. So but you can get a reasonably priced set at, you can find it online, you can go to a cutlery store. But the point being is focus on getting good quality knives because you're going to use them a lot and they make the whole experience so much more enjoyable. And you also want to get them sharpened regularly. I take mine, there's a cutlery store on Prospect Avenue in Oakland Park, and I get my knives sharpened every couple months just to make sure that they...
Prospect?
What's that?
Whereabouts on Prospect?
It's in between Oakland Park and Commercial.
Oh, I mean, I know where Prospect is, but where on Prospect is the cutlery store?
I'll have to post the address into the group. I'll give you guys that address.
Okay.
But it is between Oakland Park and Commercial.
I'm spoiled. My husband does mine.
Oh,
Nice.
well, we might all take
He's got all the
your house.
Yeah, sure. He's
My
into
husband does
that,
ours
actually.
too. I'm not allowed to touch them, but
Me too.
I mean, I can cut with them and everything.
Yeah, but you can't sharpen them.
And
It's a special way.
I'm gonna have to leave you guys, but it was a pleasure, and I look forward to conversing with you on the board.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to move through this stuff a little bit quickly because we have more information that I want to give and we're running out of time. So the toaster oven, probably use it twice a day.
Yep, have one.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
I bought mine at a thrift store for $30. I've had it for 3 years. And it's just, I cook in it, I heat things up in it. It's fantastic if you're doing, portions for fewer people. Saves the whole kitchen from getting hot. It uses less energy. The list goes on. Rice cooker, use it for every single grain. And it makes perfect grains. Doesn't matter what you put in there. I don't know how it does it. It's just like the most amazing appliance. Perfect grains. You can get them for $15. High-powered blender. We talked about the Vitamix. Everyone talked about their blender. I love my blender too. You can make smoothies, you can make soups, you can make nut butters, you can make desserts, all in like this one amazing appliance. Vitamix is a fantastic brand. They have great warranties. They're really well made. You can get them refurbished. So they're often about $550. You can find them for like $350. You can also get them used on Craigslist. So there are options. And I am a big fan of buying well to begin with, so I don't have to keep spending more money to replace things. Food processor is another one that it really expanded my repertoire of recipes because there were a lot of things that require the food processor that you can't do in a high-powered blender. So that really opened up what was possible as far as the different options of cooking. And it really speeds things up. So you can, instead of slicing and dicing by hand, especially if you're doing a larger batch of things, you can just throw it into the food processor and it'll whiz it up for you, which is great. I like a mini chopper. And a mini chopper is just like a food processor, but it's smaller. And I use it for chopping up spices. I use garlic and ginger in almost everything I cook. I use one of them or both of them. And you just throw everything in there, whizzes it up, done. Salad dressing, same thing. Throw everything in there, whiz it up, done. Cooking tongs. They changed my world when I started cooking with cooking tongs. Proper tongs for cooking. It makes it makes everything easier. I like longer ones. You can get shorter ones, longer ones. I tend to go for the longer ones. It keeps me away from fat that might splash, and I find them more usable. If you have nonstick cookware, you want to look for ones that have a rubber end on them. And I like the ones that aren't too clumsy. So some of them, like the OXO brand of kitchen implements, I find to be a little bit big and clumsy. So I look for ones that are a little thinner and will pick things like smaller items up. Citrus zester. I use it all the time. Zest is a really great way. Citrus and zest are great ways of brightening food up. They just add a little bit of a they brighten it up. They brighten the flavor, and so citrus zest, my zester gets a lot of use. A spiralizer. That's a really fun implement for making salads and raw foods. And you can pick them up for about $25 on the internet, and you can make raw pastas, you can make nice garnish. So that's just something that I don't use all the time, but it's nice to have. All right.
Yeah, I just got one of those, so I'm excited to try that stuff. I haven't done anything with it yet, the spiralizer.
It's fun. It's one of those appliances that change cooking from a chore into something that's fun and playful. For me. You're going to enjoy it.
Okay.
I started spiralizing everything though.
That's what I'm scared of when I start doing that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, let's just do it all. But it's cool. You play with it, and then you'll use it for a while, and then you'll change to something else and then go back to it. All right, so I want to take a quick look now at some recipes for this week. Ken, are you still driving?
I am.
Okay. So we're not going to have time to get the whole week's menu plan done on the call. But do you guys all have time set aside today or tomorrow so that you can work on your menu plan for the week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sunday, okay. The recipes that I have for you this week, and I'll post more to the Facebook group, but these are just some that I wanted to give to you today. Collard greens are a seasonal vegetable here in the summertime. Do any of you guys eat collard greens?
No.
Yeah.
I have not.
Love them.
Yeah, I love them. And
I don't know how to prepare them, so I don't eat them often.
okay, cool. Well, this one's for you, Sil.
Yeah.
The trick with collard greens, they do need to be cooked a little longer than other greens. They're quite fibrous.
Yes.
So to get them tender, you want to cook them a little longer. And this is just one of the ways that I like to prepare them. And I was amazed at how tasty they were. So you use coconut oil, a little butter, a little onion, a little red pepper flakes if you like a little spice with your food, a little garlic, some vegetable stock, and some tomatoes. You saute your onion in your fat. Throw in your garlic right before you throw in your greens. You throw your greens in, you throw your stock in, you cover it, you let it simmer for a little while till they're tender. Take them out, throw some fresh tomatoes, and you've got a beautiful dish right there. One bunch will make about 4 servings. So I cook a bunch at a time. Stick it in my fridge. I also have a couple other favorite ways of doing collard greens. Now, when I first started cooking collard greens, I started with this recipe, and then I got another recipe, and then I realized that that's when I started to wing it and freestyle. So there's something that lend themselves well to freestyling if you just think about flavors that you like. It's funny, Natalie, earlier you mentioned having French fries.
Yeah.
I had French fries this week too.
Good, so I don't feel too bad.
No, I was like, I just really want some French fries.
Yeah, I don't eat them very often anymore because I was a potato holic. I'd eat a bowl of mashed potatoes by myself, and that would be my dinner.
Yeah.
I love mashed potatoes, and I've since cut them out because they're my weakness.
Yeah. I actually bought some purple potatoes this week. They had them in the supermarket. And they don't taste any different, but I think they're pretty. So,
yeah.
And that's one way that I buy my food. So I like to do my menu plan, but then I'll also go to the supermarket and I'll just see what's fresh and what's available. So this week it was purple potatoes, and then there were also some fresh figs some fresh figs that were in season. So I grabbed some of those. This is a recipe for baked sweet potato fries with a ginger peanut dipping sauce. You can also actually fry these in coconut oil if you really want to indulge, and it's okay to indulge every once in a while. you know, when I had the French fries this week, I only had about a quarter cup of French fries. I mean, you know, I had probably 10 French fries, but
Yeah, me too. No.
So this is a way of doing baked sweet potato fries. Sweet potatoes obviously are a little higher in nutrients for us. They're really good for our spleen, actually, which supports our immune system. And this bakes them, so you're getting less of the oil. But again, if you want that crispy, crunchy, there's nothing wrong with doing that every once in a while. And then the dipping sauce, a ginger peanut dipping sauce, has a bit of an Asian infusion there, and it's really tasty. And this is really easy to make. You know, you just cut your potatoes up, you chuck them in the oven, and then put all the ingredients for the sauce into your blender, and you've got a delicious dish. So really simple and easy, and really delicious. And then we also have fish kits. And fish kits, I do fish kits at least a couple times a week. The fish kit is basically tinfoil with a fillet of fish, and you can use fish of your choice. I buy at Whole Foods, they have 2-pound bags of corvina, which is basically, it's different types of whitefish that are found in the Atlantic Ocean. They're pre-portioned into 5 to 7 ounce portions, and they're all individually packed. So it's great for me because I can make a couple portions, I can make 1 portion. It's really easy. And a fish kit, you get your tin foil and you get some vegetables, you get some seasonings, you wrap your fish and your seasonings up in your tin foil, you chuck it in your oven, and it cooks. It basically steams inside of your little package. And so it's really clean, it's really easy, and the fish gets fantastic flavor. So this is just one fish kit that I did this week, and I used a few different spices. I used a little bit of sesame oil, I used some lime juice, lime zest, I used some fish sauce, put it all in the oven, and it was fantastic. So I gave you that recipe, but I also will use any vegetables that I have in my fridge. And that's one of the reasons why I like it, because it's really versatile. So that's another one of the recipes for this week. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay, I feel like we were really information heavy today. So there's going to be a bit to digest. I'm definitely going to send you all of the handouts, so you'll have all this information to go over at your convenience. We'll have the recipes, and I'll also post more recipes along with the recipes from Lori into the Facebook group. And what I did want to do before we close is can anybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see the screen.
Okay, and I just want us to remind ourselves of what we're doing and why. So we're going to review that Welcome to Your Program handout, and I just would like us to each take a paragraph and read it as a way of closing out our session. So
I'll go.
Okay, before we start that, actually, I just want to know, what was useful for you today out of the session?
More recipes for me, for sure.
Okay, so the recipes.
Yes, more ideas. I appreciate that.
Confirmation on the VitaCost, because I've been looking at VitaCost, so it's good to know somebody else has dealt with them. Mm-hmm. And I used to belong to CSA, and I've been thinking about actually rejoining the one that I used to be a member of in Homestead. Mm. So it was pretty good. So I'm thinking, because I really like the fact that it made me try different vegetables, because that's one thing that I'd really like to do, is try different fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the shopping, getting confirmation on information that you already heard about, and then also just reminding you of something that you liked and worked before.
Yep.
Excellent.
Oh, and I'm excited about that sprout buckwheat breakfast, because I just bought some buckwheat, so I didn't know what to do with it, so I'm looking forward to trying that.
Perfect. And that's
Oh, and the kale chips also. It was awesome for me because I don't know how to make anything with kale, so that was really good. Yeah.
great. Okay. So, welcome to your program. So, Natalie, do you want to just take that first paragraph?
Congratulations, you just made an exceptional commitment to yourself and your future. I truly look forward to working with you during the coming exploration of meal planning and healthy eating. I love working with intelligent, motivated clients, and I'm looking forward to our work together.
Syl, do you want to go next?
Okay. We'll have amazing sessions. Oh, hold on. Where we will discuss your progress as well as your successes and challenges in looking after yourself. You will experience major changes in your life, and I am honored to contribute to this process.
Since most of this program occurs outside of our sessions while you're living and eating in your daily life, ultimately the results depend on you. What you put in, you will get out. Please read and sign the following. And if we take 3 of these bullet points each.
After careful thought, dear body of mine, after careful thought and consideration, I hereby promise to honor you as the temple of my soul, offer you healthy foods and drinks, realize that you deserve to be healthy.
I hereby promise to overcome the addictions that hurt you, love and appreciate you for what you do, accept that I have the power to heal you.
I promise to adorn you with nice, comfortable clothes and shoes, to realize that laughter, play, and rest help you feel good, and I promise to exercise regularly and appropriately for my body type. You want to take the last 3, Natalie?
I hereby promise to accept you and be grateful for you just the way you are. Listen to messages you are sending me when you are hurt or sick. Understand that my unexpressed emotion and thoughts affect you.
All right, you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
have an awesome week, and we'll be in touch during the week.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
You. Bye.
Bye.